This might be the most delirious podcast we've ever posted / recorded. So good luck, strap in, and attempt to follow along, I guess.
Yeah, maybe it'll end up being the most cohesive and like put together podcast just because we feel like it's going to be the opposite.
I like that.
It's opposite day.
I like that reframe. I'm going to attempt to lean into that, even though it's probably not going to work.
Sure. Well, Cass, why are we loopy today?
I woke up at 2 a.m. and could not go back to sleep. I took a nap between 2:15 and 3 a.m. and then officially got up and started my day at 3 a.m. So I've already lived about a full 8-hour day. We're doing good.
Wow, no wonder.
Yeah. Spirit literally started talking and I was like, okay, I'll like, I tried to do one of those things where I was like lying in bed and I was like, okay, I'll do the downloads, I'll receive all the information and then like I'll go to sleep, right? And she was like,
no, you got work to do.
And you know that if you don't get up, then you just might start puking. So
correct. Exactly. So lie there and attempt to fall back to sleep and face the wrath throughout the day or actually get up. So I chose to get up. And
sometimes though, you said that you can feel alert, even though you may not have slept a lot. But how's your camel hump doing?
My camel humps needs recalibration.
Oh no.
I'm like, I don't even know my percent.
I don't think you've filled it up since.
I haven't. No, I've been kind of, you know how when people like don't have money for gas, like, and you used to like travel on E and you used to be like, okay, I need to get to work 6 times this week and that's a third of a tank and I'll just fill it up to a third and I'll be good until next week. That's essentially my sleep situation for the month of January.
Wow, as Cass, as you would say, tell me you have money trauma without telling me you
I was gonna say, I don't know that I've ever done that before, but I have gotten my tank dangerously low in college. Dangerously low for too long.
Nope, I basically had a spreadsheet.
I love that.
That's any bit surprising.
Not at all.
So
not at all.
The camel hump is still very low. And I mean, I started receiving messages first for us and I was like, okay, let me jot these down. And then I would like, normally when that happens and I do what I'm supposed to do, I like get a reprieve and get to go back to sleep for like another REM cycle. And this one, like it automatically launched me into like client work. So I spent the first 3+ hours of the day. I know it's bullshit, Kennedy. I totally agree.
Like, fuck that, Cass. Fuck that.
He's like, I was sleeping. Spent the first 3 to 4 hours of the day actually doing some kind of closeout plan of actions for kind of my shamanic clients. So
dang.
Yeah. So I had a full day of already tapping into 2 souls and then kind of tethering them together and apart. So
and it's barely 10 a.m.
It is barely 10 a.m., isn't it?
Jade, tell us why you might be on the loopy side today.
Well, I worked a shift at the bar. And it's so cute. My bar is so cute. The owner has a cribbage tournament every Thursday in the winter at her bar.
Aww.
And there's a waiting list. Like these are like Packer tickets. Like, you know, like
top
people, once they're in, they stay. And it's the most like cool group of people, all ages from like, you know, 25 to 85. And they can drink. Wow. I'm like, you guys are crazy. They can drink a lot. So it was a very late shift, a very rowdy crowd, but in the best way possible. Just like lots of fun. You know, Joan serves everybody popcorn and they just like hang out and laugh and talk for hours. And so it's fun. But
how is that for you sober?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I thought that kind of group I can handle sober because they're fun. You know, it's when it's like other
not
kinds
fun.
of people. Yeah.
It's interesting. Cribbage is really different in Wisconsin than it is in Maine.
Why? What do you mean?
Ours is just 85 up and it starts on Tuesday mornings at 11 a.m.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. This is cribbage, Wisconsin style. So it's like, how can we party and drink while doing math?
Sure.
Don't count me in for that.
No, It's not
Honestly, that sounds fun to me. So
yeah, Kaylin, you would love it. You and Anthony would be like season ticket holders. You would love it.
I'm also currently planning my high school reunion a few years late because COVID happened. And one of the people on the committee was like, am I old if I think that bingo is fun?
I love
there's
bingo.
I know there's 4 of us, and we're all like, actually, no, we all really like bingo too.
Didn't you say that you're planning it, but you're not going?
Maybe. Yeah.
You're planning it, but you might not. Actually, I probably shouldn't have said that publicly, should I have?
It's okay. You can say it.
I mean, we announced her birth basically on the podcast, so we might as well announce everything else about Kaylin on the podcast.
Yeah. And it's not a secret. Like the things that I say here, I don't care.
Right. I just love that.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think I'm not the only person that would do that, especially with, 2 young kids and living on the opposite side of the United States as where it's going to be. Like, I can't guarantee that it's just going to be an easy trip for me to take my whole family across the US to get there. And I might not have childcare because my parents don't live full time in that town anymore. So,
yeah.
So, Kaylin, where are you, loopy?
Well, my 5-year-old woke me up at 3:33. Yes, friends, to ask me if it was the day yet and if it was time to get ready for school. No.
Wow.
No, it's not. So, and then, because I'm nursing, I realized, oh man, my baby hasn't woken up yet and I need to feed him or pump. And I hate pumping. So then I did a dream feed on the baby and then I was fully awake, just up. So
the dream feed worked on him and not you.
Correct. And then my phone goes on sleep mode at night. And last night Slack was blowing up.
Sorry.
My phone was in sleep mode. So I didn't get any notifications, which was great. I was able to sleep while I was sleeping. But then, I checked my phone while I'm nursing to wake me up. And I saw all the things in Slack, like 80 some odd messages.
Needless to say, I also worked till 10:30 at night.
She did.
I was gonna say, I was getting emails from you while I was working at the bar.
That's not normal. This is like rare occurrences.
She was fired up.
She was burning the candle at both ends.
Seriously. So then I had Slack stuff. And then I was like, well, I better go make a to-do list. If I'm going to read these messages, I need to not, read and forget. So then I started making my to-do list, and I'm also flying on a plane today. So, there's all of that. And then magically my alarm went off.
Asking for a friend. When have you ever read a message and forgot it?
It's not coming to me now, but I'm sure there's been a time.
That was a dramatic pause.
I had to really think about it. Sometimes there's a delay. Like I'll read it and I'll be like, okay, I need to do this. And then I'll get going doing like 10 other things. And then it'll be like the afternoon. I'll be like, oh shit, I need to do this. And then I do it later than I wanted to. So
that makes sense.
I don't have that option today. I got to get it all done. So
tell me you're a generator without telling me you're a generator. Kaylin will go first.
Whatever could you mean? So
I think that was good. That was
a bit of personal
updates. Yeah, that was our personal updates.
Yeah, you spilled my reunion tea. Like, sure, let's do this.
So next is shaman. What else do we need to say about shamaning? Shamaning.
Nothing.
I mean, I think you did.
No, I think you need to. There is a lot of shaman shit, but I think there are 2 main shaman shits. 1, getting turned down this week, and 2, your chiropractor. Go.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, the chiropractor is really. I love that.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I say these things so Kaylin can remember and remind me of
podcast. So Cass had a chiropractor appointment this past week, And while she was being adjusted, her chiropractor asked her how her messages were, how her conversations with spirit were, how easy it was for her. And she was like, well, I have to get into it, but I
literally said I have a trouble like switching from like CEO hat to shaman hat to like client hat to like kind of like that transition time.
But this is the first time you've ever seen her.
First time
right?
I've ever seen her. She knows probably like a tenth about what I do, has never listened to podcasts, has never been a client, has had my referral was a client. So like we have one or two shared clients together. And she knows my work is the spiritual side of her physicality work is kind of how she compared it. And she goes, how's your intuition? I said, it's fine. Sometimes it takes me a minute to get from, doing one thing to another. And she adjusts kind of the back occiput of like my neck. And she's like, okay, I'm going to use a drop table and you're going to feel some pressure, blah, blah, blah. She does one side and I was like, oh, wow, a little dizzy. She does the other side. Like literally it was like, I feel like, when you get back from vacation, you go to your inbox and it's like, it shows like it needs to like refresh for a moment. And then it has like 590 messages. That's what it felt like instantaneously. I was like, oh, got it. Which is probably why I woke up at 2 a.m.
I was going to say, and then you wonder why you were working until 10 and then started working again. Yeah.
Correct. You've had an amazing adjustment.
So that did happen. So I was like, okay, cool. We'll see how I'm like, I need a couple of days to kind of reconfigure myself into that adjustment, I guess you could say. But there's definitely some profound things. And then I'm kind of working with her over the next couple of weeks, once or twice a week, to just kind of get things back into an aligned state. So, and then
aligned.
Exactly. Pun totally intended every time I say it.
I think the second thing that I needed to share was about, it kind of is a little bit aligned and a little bit Shaman Shit. And that is basically part of our purpose, right? Of aligned, or one of the purposes of aligned, is to kind of help the healing community or healer community of the world. And Cass got a front row seat and experience in our purpose this week too, which I think is something that is important to talk about. Obviously, we won't say names or anything like that, but I think a lot of the people that listen to our podcast would probably be interested in that. Yeah,
there's parts of it that I'm still processing through. So I'm trying to figure out what to say and how to say it. I'll kind of talk about the piece that I know to be true right now is in the spiritual community. And I feel like most of the spiritual kind of in community, the people that listen to it, even if they're not, know that there is a incongruence with kind of worth of what their value is and what they're charging 99.9% of the time, in my opinion. It's very rare to find a healer who is financially savvy, plans for the future, takes care of themselves and their family, is confident about what they charge. Big one right there. Even if they are charging the correct amount, has the kind of internal alignment to feel comfortable in doing that. And then also who's not willing to kind of discount when discounts aren't due, but also like just kind of a really definite, true, what I am in my mind is a definition of like an abundant living experience. So I had that problem for a long time. There's no shock there. I've done a lot of work in that problem and that kind of facing that problem, because I feel like when I was kind of tapping into it, for me, it was something that I knew I had to get through in order to kind of get more in touch with kind of my soul purpose, because my soul purpose is quite large. I feel like there are some people in this world who have the sole purpose of, kind of taking, I say, the spiritual vow of poverty and kind of trying to help everyone, and very Mother Teresa type energy. And I feel like the universe provides for them, and they live in a place, they have access to the things that they need. They have support in the way that they have that. But for, I would say, most of the spiritual community, that's not really the case. So I had someone who I was interested in potentially working with. They got a little ping of like, you might want to look at working with her. So I always follow those pings. And I personally like, and you guys can kind of attest to this, making like literally going to see people's gifts. And like, whether or not I receive everything from it, like, I like reminders, because sometimes I'm dense about my own shit. And then B, like, I really like just seeing people work in their gift because I find that level like inspirational. Like, and whether it's like, I was just talking to a healer who's brand new. And actually that Jade, like, she said something similar. She's like, can I do a reading for you? I was like, yeah, but like, let me pay you. And she's like, I'm having, X, Y, and Z issues. I'm like, here's a book on boundaries. Here's a book on dodging energy vampires. Here's a book disconnecting from your clients. Like, I just like seeing healers in their craft. And this has been a pattern of mine for years. So I went to ask someone if they would be interested, and they basically told me no, because what they see of my facade of how much I charge and who I am out there is incongruent with what they believe. So totally fine. But then what's interesting to me is once I was able to kind of like separate and dissect and see and hear kind of her point of view and see and hear mine, I got this massive kind of download piece of that this is like a systemic issue. It is an issue that is part of the reason why when I see healers who have a lot of past life trauma, it's a reoccurring thing throughout X number of past lives. I talked to a couple of my friends kind of throughout this process, and they're like, oh yeah, I've done past life trauma, when it comes to money work for 8 to 10 lives. And I'm like, okay, got it. So it kind of unlocked another piece of the puzzle per se into like, okay, this is another thing that like, we have the potential to change within the things that we're doing, but like just kind of one of the things that holds the feminine back, and then B holds kind of the healer community and spiritual community back.
Yeah. And I think where that kind of overlaps with aligned is that this platform that we're trying to build gives not only should help with the mindset of, in order to help the collective and share my gifts, I have to only charge this much. And, I have to live this lifestyle. And our goal is to not only help people out of that mindset, but then also give them a platform where they can flourish and help more people and do those things while also not having to live in that way unless it feels right. Because like you were saying, Cass, like you don't like, if you can live in an ashram and have all of your needs met, I know Cass's dream, but then that would be amazing. But that's not everyone's calling. That's not everyone's purpose. It might sound nice, and I think Cass would probably prefer that or a few other options.
I would love to live in Peru with no cell phone, no technology, and just serve plant medicine. And every single time I say that to one of my mentors, they laugh at me. They're like, that's not like, just go back out there, get back out there. Like, it's kind of like a kid on a soccer team, get back out on the field, go. And I'm like, but please, can I just stay here? They're like, you can stay here for a week and then you have to go away. So,
but at the same time, it's like, wow, one web page turned this one healer off on Cass. If she only would have used her gifts to truly tap in and cut out all the noise, she probably would have seen a whole different human, because the Cass that I know is, her love language is gifts. She gives and gives and gives and will continue to give because she wants to see people. That's her love language. It's like, I want to pour into you, so this is how I'm going to pour into you. And gives in many ways, gives her gift of her, her gifts, gives gifts of monetary value, just her sleep, lots of all the things, her energy. And so it's short-sighted. And I think because of that trigger, right, that seeing that one webpage was triggering for this individual, I think that kind of plays into that, like maybe this like vow of poverty isn't her actual calling, because Cass has met lots of people that live in that way and are not triggered by her. So it's like, and I think that's the same for a lot of people. And so not that you're not, I think we're all on our own journey and in our own time frame and on our own timelines. And I think we're all exactly where we're supposed to be in our process. And so, it's not for any of us to say that one is right and one is wrong, but I think it's important to kind of acknowledge like where we're all kind of at, and basically go in and be like, okay, is this really what I'm supposed to do, or is this not? And like, okay, if this is me, then what do I do to move forward or move past this?
I think it's a really important conversation. And I think it's a really loaded conversation. And we're starting to see that. I mean, Cass, like you said, you've been seeing it for years, but it's like, I'm trying to compare it to, it's like as volatile a subject matter as abortion in the spiritual community.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah.
it is as divisive as the mask versus no mask conversation, as divisive as the get a vaccination versus not get a vaccination.
Yeah.
And I think
Political
that
parties.
I think that what we have done in this group is try to live by example in the fact that we can be in both places. We have people on our team that are vaccinated and people that believe that you should not be vaccinated. Like we live together and have that conversation without judgment or concern that you need to live your own life. Yes. So I think that we want to address all sorts of conversations just like that, on aligned, and start by leading by example. So it just needs to be a conversation. And I think that one thing that we were kind of talking about yesterday is I actually really delight in fully seeing each perspective. Like I've done that my whole life too. I'm like with you and I can totally see your perspective. I get it. Like I can also come over here and see your perspective. And I love that, I want it to be a conversation, an open conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
And not something that just causes so much angst and so much fear and so much, it's so intense. Why?
It's interesting to me because I forgot about it for a little while. Like, because I had about 6 months ago, and I think we talked about it on the podcast. I had a series of like older healers who I was again going to see their gifts and work with, who proceeded to tell me they have no retirement plan. They have to keep working. One of them has to keep traveling to Egypt every 6 months. Like they have to do things that are not, hey, they shouldn't, flat and plain and simple, they shouldn't be doing. Like you shouldn't have to force yourself to go to a place that at 85 years old, leading a tour group of 25 people through sacred lands. Like
when you're in the crone stage, you're supposed to be sitting there and everyone's coming to you. Yeah.
Like she should be sitting on a throne in my mind, and people should be sitting at her feet to like, as she discloses information.
Yeah.
It's happened now through like just in the past, I would say 6 months. I'm actively working with about 5 healers who are in that same space. And I'm like, this is A, systemic, B, like not sustainable. And then like C, like bridging the gap between aligned and shamanism. I was like, these people have so much knowledge and so much wealth that's like essentially just going to go into the next life with them.
Yeah.
So that was part of kind of
which is okay. But let's have a conversation, right? And like, then so harvest. You can decide, like if that's really where you want to be, or is it time for you to rise up? Because I think a lot of people feel like they don't have a choice. And that goes back to even something as simple as using technology to further your business, which is the age that we are in. We need to be able to use technology. Oh, we're in such a season of Aquarius right now. So many planets in Aquarius, but technology is here to stay. And that is something that, in the marketing work that I've watched, we've done. I say we, but I don't do the marketing work, I need the marketing work, but,
I have to pause that because you have learned so much.
I have learned. Yeah. Yes.
Give yourself more credit, Jade.
You program your own calendar system now.
That's true. Yeah. I did figure out my own calendar system, but so many healers have that same issue of just being terrified and not knowing how to use the tools that are available to them. So that is another thing that we're wanting to do with Aligned. So yeah.
bridging all the gaps, all of
Bridging.
it coming to find all like I can start to see like the haze on the horizon of like the pieces that are coming together. I was like, oh, that's why we built that, or like, oh, that's why I had that idea 10 years ago. Like that makes sense.
Exactly. And that word bridge, I mean, that's been one of the top 5 words we've used since I met you guys. Bridge.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We've been playing with that word so much.
It's been my word for I don't even know how many years now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
So I'm excited to see how it all comes together.
Yeah.
As it's
Me too. How it's quote written in the stars.
Jade, you mentioned that we've got a lot of planets in Aquarius right now. Give us some astrology. I know you had a big astrology week, not necessarily with Aquarius planets, but with something else.
Yeah. So I had my first professional birth chart reading, which is crazy because I was sitting there like, why have I never had one done for myself when I've given hundreds? And so I had followed one astrologer for some time and really admired her. And she has been avidly studying and practicing astrology for 40 years.
That's awesome.
So I knew that I would be blown away. I was frustrated a lot of the session because I did not know a lot of the things that she was talking about. And that immediately frustrated me in my, in my human ego. Like, I don't know. There's so much I don't know. And the good news is I know that about myself. I know that I could study astrology for the rest of my life and I would still barely scratch the surface. And that's just Western astrology. You bring Vedic astrology, you bring right? So you have to just bloom where you're planted.
Mm-hmm.
And so she started bringing in a lot of asteroid conversation to my chart, and I had never studied asteroids. I just haven't been called to do so, but now I will. She broke down some things with my chart that I immediately started to apply. For me, the best way to learn is by taking the information, so this asteroid, specifically Sirius, and applying it to everyone that I love and know the best. So I immediately went to my kids and Eric and Cass and Kaylin and all of us together and started composite charting. And it just I just started having light bulbs and the head blowing up emoji thing happening in my, just over and over again, oh my God, everything makes sense. So, more on that later, but Sirius is basically the way that you mother yourself and love to mother others. So when you're in mind, body, soul alignment, what have you done for yourself to make that happen? It's like the summer breeze on your face when it's just the perfect amount of sun and the breeze, and you feel, and you're barefoot and you just feel like you're so connected to yourself and the earth, and you feel so comfortable and warm and yummy. So that's Sirius.
Not Maine, not Wisconsin.
I know. Well, Sirius is actually Demeter, and she was the she had to give her daughter Persephone to Hades to take down to hell 6 months out of the year. So that's why we have winter. Mm-hmm. Every asteroid has a Greek mythology connection. So it's fun.
I love it.
Yeah. So
I love how even in that asteroid analogy, you basically it's so interesting to me because it's like there's astrology of here's what's happening in your chart. And then you're like, I took the asteroid, I got to know her, I applied her to every single person I know, and now I'm intimately BFFs with the asteroid.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
It's not like this is where it is on your chart. It's like, no, she's now a part of me.
Mm-hmm. That's how I feel. I think that's why I'm careful to what I study, because if I have to feel that way, that kind of way about it, or it won't stick. But if I feel that way, I become intimate with Sirius, then she can work for me, and I can move her right around where we need her to be.
I don't know if I've ever been intimate with an asteroid. Just putting that one on the
that's
table.
A Jade. Think about it and then get back to us, Cass, because I think you might have been.
I mean, maybe a dwarf planet, but definitely not an asteroid.
Well, Sirius is a dwarf planet, so there
That's
you go.
right, it is.
Jade, so if a listener is wondering where, where that is in their chart and how it affects them, how could they look it up?
So I use astro.com. I don't know. There's a lot of different software programs, but there's just option on there to use to bring up the asteroids on your birth chart. It gets really confusing really quickly because I'm gonna now study and work with about 8 of them. So you're adding those to your planets, and you also don't want to give them a lot of weight, these little asteroids, if they are not very close to a natal planet or aspecting one of your natal planets. So it's not like the average person is going to feel comfortable just going to study their asteroids.
So we need to make an appointment with you if we want to know about our asteroids.
What you're saying is you're facilitating thruples now for asteroids plus clients, correct?
There you go.
I do have another question for you
with your asteroids. That's a great sales pitch. If you're interested in being intimate with your asteroid, please contact.
I love it.
Jade, I wanted to know, one of the things that you had mentioned when we were talking about this originally is the shadow side of it. And then when you're like working with it, could you just give us an example of what that looks like?
Well,
I
think what you were referring to is, like, for me personally, why it was so important for me to know about Sirius is because Sirius in my chart is sitting sandwiched between Chiron, my childhood wound, and my sun, my ego. So all 3 of those energies are in Aries, which means technically that the way that I mother and nurture myself is in a warrior spirit way. And I don't really need a lot of other people to do it for me. I can very much take care of myself. And I've seen that part of me over and over again, but so many times that isn't the case. Why is it not the case? Because my childhood wound is sitting smack dab on that urge that I have to mother and take care of myself with a warrior spirit, no fucks given spirit. So if my childhood wound's being activated, which it is right now, by Chiron in the sky, traveling around and bumping up against it, I fall into this kind of disarray where I'm being called to mother and nurture myself with a warrior spirit, but my childhood wound is making me feel yet again like this child that was told I couldn't do that I couldn't trust myself, that I wasn't enough. And so you can see how powerful that information can be as you're feeling, you're feeling all these things. It helps you bring some thought to it and some purposeful action to it. So is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of a bumper sticker
to bring it all down into one.
Correct. I'm like, oh, that's some asteroid shit. Like that's where my head went, but I'm like, that's not a good one. There's got to be something.
Yeah. And then, oh my God, I just get so excited because think of if you're using that in a composite chart. A composite chart is your karmic journey with another human. And so how do you mother and nurture your relationship? Go look that up, because for some people, it might be if you're in a partnership with this person and your Sirius is in the 10th house of work, you mother and nurture your relationship by having a business together, going to work, actionable items. If it's down in the house of home, then you nurture each other by like parenting each other and getting warm and cozy and relying on each other's, emotional support. So it can be so powerful and helpful.
Yes.
I'm speechless.
No, I feel like
asteroids.
She just like quietly called us out, basically, is what just happened for the listeners.
She also just like, it's like a channeling of asteroids now.
I know. That's how I feel.
She's like, let me tell you what Sirius has to say.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Well, what do we have left?
We have to roast something.
We also were supposed to do a topic, but I don't know what topic that was.
That ship has sailed.
It's true.
Gone. Yeah.
Our topic can be Kennedy's adorable face.
Hello, Kennedy's face.
Oh my goodness. Look at him.
He's found his voice this week, and it's a squeal of the squeal variety.
Oh, good. Then we'll hear a lot from him in the coming weeks. Look at him. I always say that Kennedy looks like a frat boy who's a little buzzed. So if you want to see if you agree with me, go to the
Kind of dressed like one today too, to be honest.
Is that a heart? It is a heart.
It is.
You wear your heart on your sleeve, buddy, don't you?
Look at him smiling at us, he's smirking at us.
Are you just like a little buzzed, buddy?
Hi, little buzzed frat boy. You can go party?
Look at the fist pump. Did you see the little fist pump come up?
We're roasting Kennedy.
Oh, he's only 4 months old. Is it okay to roast him?
Are you okay to be roasted, bud?
He's smiling. He's totally loving it.
He's
In the
down.
best way possible, though. All I can see is buzzed frat boy when I look at him.
I mean, you're not wrong.
You're not wrong. It's true.
He's
It's the hair.
It is.
absolutely the hair.
Like,
And kind of the
anyone wanna
eyes
drink
too.
this
They're just like a
drink
little
out of
bit
a
like
cooler?
What?
I said, anyone want to mix or drink this mixed drink out of a cooler?
Look at his face right when you said that. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
man.
What's in it? Every bottle we could find.
Oh my goodness. You will have to definitely go to the YouTube channel for this one. Otherwise, none of what we're saying will make any sense at all. Oh my goodness.
I just watched the last 5 minutes of the video on YouTube.
It's fine.
Aw.
I feel like there's something else we should roast. I'd like to roast our developer, but that's a whole nother story. We don't need to speak about them. They don't deserve any more of our energy,
I don't have
Yeah.
energy for that. No,
but they do deserve to be roasted.
I got nothing else to roast, y'all. I mean, maybe my pillow.
There you go. Refer back to beginning of podcast where Cass needs her camel hump to be.
I think it's not going to get filled until next week. So we might have one more week of loopy podcasts, then we'll be back. So-
Fingers crossed.
Or it might wait until 2024 to be refilled at this point. Who knows?
For your sake, I hope not. You've got a busy year ahead of you.
Yeah. Well, I feel like this episode was a little more cohesive than it could have been, and also a little less so.
Well, I'll leave it at this. If you guys want to get intimate with an asteroid, you know who to call now.
That's it.